I'm Johnny Jungleguts, the top-notch gamer, aka the top-notch gamer, and this is another episode of Let's Gay. I'm here with book publisher of Hesse Press, Clare Kelly. Thanks so much for being on the show, Clare.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Today we are going to try to get some of Squad back together. They kind of got all thrown apart in a big waterfall disaster maybe 2 episodes ago, and this is our last lost little lamb. Clare, what is your age?
I'm 27.
And what is your height?
I'm 5'5" and 3/4.
Uh-huh.
But I always say I'm 5'6", so I'm 5'6".
I often also lie about my height.
Yeah.
I, for some reason, didn't like to used to tell people that I was 6'6". I would say that I was 6'5.5".
Oh, wow.
I thought it was less intimidating. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, that is weird because they're still both very tall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I thought something about 6 feet and a
6'8",
half.
yeah.
Like a half of that
Yeah.
was like really.
Halfway to 7 feet.
It was like it was hard for that would be like hard for people to deal with.
Yeah. Wow, you were a foot taller than me.
Yeah.
Like a full foot.
It's crazy. What is your eye color?
Oh, okay, so I think it's gray, but I don't. Is it gray or hazel?
It's a little dark in here, but I would go more on the gray side.
Okay, yeah. I put hazel on my first driver's license, and so for 10 years it said hazel, and then I don't know, I guess I wasn't very, I was like 15 when I got my driver's license, and then I figured out over the course of the next 10 years that I actually had gray eyes.
And where was that? Where'd you get your driver's license?
In El Cerrito, California. Do you know, in the Bay Area?
This is really shocking, but I've lived in California since 2009, maybe, and I have not been to the Bay yet.
Whoa, wow, really?
Isn't that horrible?
Well, that's good though, because then you have a whole other half of California
to explore eventually.
Yeah. Wow, I'm from the Bay Area. So
You're from the Bay Area.
Yeah. I was born in Berkeley.
And what brought you back down to LA?
Well, I got into UCLA, so I went there when I was 18.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then I liked it. I liked it a lot. I don't know. It was like a lot. I don't know. I liked all the people in LA and stuff, and I don't know. I just met a lot of good people here, so I didn't move back. But,
I hear that.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I did.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So your place of origin, would you say, is Cerritos?
No, it's Berkeley. But El Cerrito's a town of like two cities above Berkeley, like north of Berkeley.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a little suburb, but it was where the nearest DMV was.
Now, what is Berkeley? Like, I feel like most people know Berkeley as like a site of like student protest in the '60s, but what is Berkeley?
Oh man.
Really like now in our times?
Well, I feel like Lil B being from Berkeley, like I feel like that makes a lot of sense. Like
he's from Berkeley.
Yeah, he's from Berkeley, and like he went to Berkeley High. I went to Berkeley. Like he like kind of personifies like a kid who grew up in Berkeley to me.
How so?
Like just like kind of weird and cool and like just kind of like smokes a lot of weed and like kind of on another plane. I don't know. I think he's like would wear a grandma outfit on ESPN, just like very like alt from day one. I don't know.
So it's a liberal community?
Yeah, oh yeah, really liberal. I mean, it's like, it kind of is weird because you kind of grow up in a bubble. Like you grow up thinking like, I went to Berkeley Public Schools, and Berkeley Public Schools, you get Cesar Chavez Day off, you get Malcolm X Day off.
Oh, crazy.
You get International Women's
Day in the public
off.
school.
Yeah, those are all days off that you get. And like, obviously the teachers teach about those days and like teach why they're important. And I don't know. I mean, there's just kind of this, that's like most of the parents, that's like, they're all kind of the same like political orientation, so it kind of affects the environment that you grow up in.
Including your parents.
Oh yeah. My parents Well, my mom said she always liked kind of feeling like she was more conservative than a lot of people.
She liked feeling that way.
Because it was like the only place she could feel that conservative.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you know what I mean? She felt like... Because, I mean, I grew up with, like, kids who, like, you know, like, deadhead kids, like, you know, like, they were all named after planets, this one family we were friends with.
Wow.
Like, Jupiter, and then his middle name was Ganymede of the universe, which is really sick.
That is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Ganymede is like a gay lover of Zeus.
Oh,
Zeus
it is?
Yeah, that's the story.
Oh, I didn't know that. I just knew it as the word, like, the seed, you know, part of the seed. Or the part of the flower? I've forgotten.
Oh, I see. I didn't know that, but yeah, is it Ganymede?
I think so.
Yeah, that the original sort of folktale around that is
Yeah.
Zeus had to turn into a hawk to make love to this boy.
Whoa, yeah. Well, he always had to turn to an animal.
Yeah, because if they see him straight out the gate, they
Yeah, flip out or go blind or something.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so. A lot of. I was reading today. I was reading on Wikipedia a bunch of stuff about Greek myths and so many words we have. Like, did you know that trivia was the word for trivia? That was like a demigod of death or like the necromancy or something. Was the goddess Trivia.
Trivia.
Yeah.
Death is the connection.
No, it was like magic and like but like death magic, like necromancy. Isn't that cool? I found that out today and I thought that was really cool.
And then we go to Trivial Pursuit.
Yeah.
Did your parents play Trivial Pursuit?
I think so. I think I remember it being around, but
that was like
yours.
That was like the sad extent I feel of my parents' like social lives, having had 4 children.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in New Jersey, South Jersey.
Oh wow.
Riverton, New Jersey. It's like a very nice, beautiful, very conservative town on the Delaware River, right across from Philadelphia.
Oh, whoops.
That's quite honest.
Okay. Yeah, so really different. Yeah.
So what about your dad? Was he like a real hippie type guy?
Yeah, he he worked on the McGovern campaign, like he was the guy who ran against Richard Nixon.
Oh, okay.
Like he worked in politics, then he worked in investigative journalism. But my dad's funny because he was an investigative journalist, so he had to always kind of make sure that he wouldn't be accused of being biased, as like having a liberal bias, because this was like back when he wrote for newspapers or like he did stuff for Frontline or like did stuff with, so he actually registered as a Republican, but not because he believed it, but just so that if anyone investigated him, he could have that as like a thing to be like, look, I'm not like a
he
cover.
Would do infiltration type journalism.
No, but he was the director of this organization called, helped co-found this organization called the Center for Investigative Reporting that's based in San Francisco, and it like does a lot of they have like a show on like PRI. They do like a podcast and stuff now, but they like have done like a lot of journalism through the years, but like it was all kind of real intense stuff, like investigating like the fact that like these huge corporations were shipping trash to third world countries, like just like really messed up corporate stuff, or like and like so it all kind of came from his like kind of liberal perspective, but because like the things that they were doing were still kind of high risk, like if any of the corporate people tried to investigate, to discredit them,
right.
Like he had to be kind of on guard about it. It was kind of a stressful thing, so he like would do stuff like counter it by like registering as a Republican.
Yeah.
So he was a little mysterious about his like real political beliefs, but like he went and like he's from Indianapolis originally, and he went back to Indianapolis and like did a lot of like I don't know, crowd fundraising for Obama and stuff, which was cool.
Oh, so he's like really in it.
Yeah, he's pretty Democrat, yeah. For sure. But it was just funny growing up knowing that he was like registered as a Republican.
So shipping trash to third world countries, that was like one of the things?
That was one of their like big first stories that they did.
It feels very related to today's playthrough. Basically, the premise of this game...
Okay.
No, I mean,
No, I like that. That was a good segue.
I'm trying.
Okay, yeah.
I'm figuring it out. So basically, this game is about, like, you're like these, like, little rebels, and the Empire is, like, trying to... reverse engineer magical creatures to make weapons.
Yeah.
And so, but they also do like other horrible things, and like in this sequence, they're like poisoning this kingdom basically. And this is the like this character is like the one guy who is like ends up surviving basically.
Yeah.
The like plot point
like,
we're getting into.
Okay.
But it's very tragic. It was definitely a tragic moment to see. Like, I think this is definitely probably the first time. Is there a word for when you kill everyone from like a specific place? Is that genocide?
Yeah.
That's genocide.
Yeah.
This is probably
an ethnic group.
It's probably one of the first genocides in video games.
Oh.
I could be wrong about that, but it seems like not unlikely.
Yeah.
That it would be. But so your mom, what did she do for a living?
She was a lawyer. She became a lawyer, and then she hated being a lawyer.
Okay.
And then she quit and became did environmental lobbying.
So this is like in the trenches liberalism. This is like hard
in the
work.
Early 90s. Yeah.
This is getting in, like, you're not just voting Democrat, have some
Yeah, she was trying to convince people that global warming was real. I remember her getting into fights with, because my dad's family is more conservative. I mean, besides my dad, they're kind of more waspy, Midwest. And she just arguing with my uncle, getting into a huge fight at a dinner about, denying global warming. Just in the early 90s, or just kind of crazy stuff.
That is, I feel like the 90s were kind of a better time for, maybe now is good too, but I felt like the 90s were such a time for environmentalism in a way that the aughts, or whatever you want to call that decade, really wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah, no, there was a lot more Greenpeace. My mom worked for Greenpeace too.
Oh, okay.
And, a lot more action. But I don't know, they got a lot done too. A lot of stuff that we don't even know about that could have gone so much worse.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? They were trying to privatize water in California in the 90s, in the late 90s. They were trying to make it it would not be a public utility anymore. It would be controlled by a corporation. And my mom was part of the the lobbying to stop that from happening, and they won. So that was really good, because it's just you just kind of see what happens with all the water, especially with the drought and stuff. It's so crazy.
Yeah, we're still kind of working through that, I guess.
Yeah.
So, how does that, and your parents, are they still together?
No, they're separated.
What age were you for that?
17. Yeah. What about you? Are your parents still together?
They are still together.
Oh, wow, that's great.
They are definitely still together, and I'm sure will be for life.
For life? They made for life?
They made for life. The one time in high school, or no, it was right after I dropped out of my first college, I was working in construction with this guy who was a recovering crack addict, basically. And he backed up into my car with his new car that he had that didn't have any insurance, and kind of messed it up, and I didn't want to get him in trouble, you know, so I drove it home, and the thing that happened was this little, the side, it was a station wagon that was kind of had this wood paneling, and it kind of popped out, but you kind of pop it back in.
Yeah.
So anyway, I went home and thought everything was fine, or I didn't know what to do really.
Yeah.
And then my mom took the car out, and then when she got back, she noticed what had happened.
Yeah.
And they got in this huge argument.
Yeah.
Over whether or not she'd been in an accident, essentially.
Oh my god.
The biggest argument I think my parents ever got in. And and I was just feeling so guilty and so scared, and I didn't know what to do. And so then I finally just stepped in and was it was me. It was Jay. Jay hit the car.
Yeah.
And it was my dad the next day was Johnny, I'm really mad. That almost cost me my marriage or something is what he said to me.
Whoa. Wow.
I was their biggest argument was over this car injury. Because I think my mom really felt my dad thought she was stupid or something.
Right.
How could you have an accident on your car and not even notice?
Right.
Because where she parked it when she took it somewhere was
up the
driveway.
Why does it even matter? It's just a car.
Right, exactly. But they really went at it. But anyway,
Yeah.
so you were 17. Did you see it coming?
Oh yeah. I mean, it was really messy. My mom was like kind of a workaholic, and she got addicted to OxyContin.
Okay.
And, yeah. So she like really went out, and then she got sober, and then my parents, like my dad found out, and then she got sober, but then my parents like it kind of just didn't they didn't really trust each other after that.
Yeah.
You know, I'm watching Nurse Jackie right now. Have you ever watched that show?
I love Edie Falco.
Me
I
too.
should start watching it.
It's really good. I'm like on the 4th season now. It just came on Netflix, and it's really good. And she's like a nurse who does has a pill problem.
Right.
Like, and it's like my mom. Like, she reminds me so much of my mom. If she was just an environmentalist instead of a nurse.
Yeah. And now your mom pretty good with all that stuff?
She's 11 years sober.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's amazing. Yeah, she's really amazing.
And one thing you were telling me before we did this, your parents did not permit the video games.
Yeah. No, I grew up, so my mom, like, because she was, I mean, you have to put it in perspective, it's like the early 90s, she had me in 88, it's the early 90s, she's a mom in Berkeley, she's working for the Union of Concerned Scientists, who are, like, very concerned about, the end of the world, and she's like, okay, like, I can't, like, no TV.
No TV even?
Or, like, well, I had TV, like, later, they kind of loosened this, on that one, because, like, they needed some break, but, like, not a lot of TV, like, it was very restricted to, like, the weekends. Like, I don't ever remember watching TV on weeknights until I was a teenager. And then, like, I couldn't drink juice or even soda. Like, there was no soda, really, but, like, juice, I couldn't even have juice until I had 2 glasses of water. Like, it was just very healthy, and...
Wait, you would drink the 2 glasses of water and then you would have the juice.
That's what I remember, something.
Oh my
like,
gosh.
and so she had all these rules, and, like, she's like, we kind of laugh about it now. Because my mom's like, she's like, and they were just really, neurotic about, like, recycling. Like, and Berkeley, I think there's this weird thing that happens, and I've seen this because I've seen a lot of Berkeley families' homes, as I grew up there, is, like, sometimes environmentalism can be this disguise, or it can come with hoarding, or, like, those kinds of behaviors. Like, I'm very interested in that.
Yeah.
That's something I've observed, where it's kind of like, because my dad kind of has this problem, my mom does it, but kind of keeping lots of things, and it's like, because you don't know how to recycle them right. Like, that's kind of the reasoning.
The ways that environmentalism gets misplaced.
Becomes a kind of a brain, like a cog in your brain, or like, just something about your anxiety and environmentalism where they meet, and then some behaviors that happen. I don't know.
So you're in this, like, ultra-liberal bubble, so that's, is that how you get interested in, like, art? Where does that sort of start?
Oh, yeah, I mean, I just always made stuff, and, I always loved books. I mean, I read a lot. Like, I was one of those kids who, like, read at recess and stuff.
That is great.
Yeah. And then my parents had, like, art books. They had, like, monographs around, and I remember, like, having, like, Dean Arbus, you know her?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Like, having her monograph and stuff, and that was, like, the first way I saw naked people and all kinds of good stuff. She went to a nudist camp and did all these photos of people at nudist camps. Yeah, and they're really cool.
And how old were you when you saw that?
Pretty young, like elementary school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you were like...
I was like, yeah.
You were like, yeah.
Or I don't know, it was just like, I mean, because it's like these scary, weird portraits of people in nudist camps, like it's kind of creepy, but...
It's not sexy at all.
No, definitely not, but...
I think that's kind of a nice way to introduce nudity to kids, because, like, I feel like so many kids, especially little boys maybe, like the introduction to nudity is like, ooh, a sexy naked lady. It's a naked lady or something like that, like Playboy. Like, I think
just like awkward nudist.
That's like way better. It's like the body is a complicated, weird thing. They don't all look like Pamela Anderson in Playboy.
Yeah.
Which is totally like what you kind of...
Yeah, if you just look at those kinds of...
That was like I think that was the first naked woman I ever saw.
It was Pamela Anderson.
Pam Anderson in Playboy, and then Madonna, in the Sex Book. I also saw that.
Oh, that's
pretty young, and so I mean that was like very revelatory because there's like a lot of gay imagery in that too.
Yeah, that book.
So I love that book.
Yeah, that book's great. I think my aunt had that book growing up. Yeah.
Yeah, they should print it again.
Yeah.
It's just tragic. They're like poisoning the water.
Oh no.
I was thinking about it. I feel like I can't really like claim in my life that I've really truly experienced tragedy. Like I have brought things upon myself that were horrible.
Yeah.
But they were like my fault and they like happened to me, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
like both my parents are still alive.
Yeah.
There's never been any sudden disease.
It'll happen.
It'll happen.
I'm just kidding.
Has it happened to you, would you say? Or like a close friend or something like that?
I've never had, well, let's see. I've had, my friend's mom died a few years ago. That was really sad, but it was, that was more like difficult because she's a very good friend of mine. It was more difficult, for like, well, obviously for her, but like, that was, but it was not like unexpected. She'd been sick for a long time, but I haven't had anybody just kind of drop
out, yeah.
I was married, and I did have my ex-husband cheat on me with a friend.
That is big. Okay.
So that was a big,
And how long ago was that?
We got married in 2011, and then we got divorced in very early, it was like January 2014.
Oh my gosh. So, and how long were you together before you got married?
5 years.
And you were married so young.
Yeah,
young. You
really
met him.
young.
So you met him in what? High school or college?
College.
Right at the beginning of college.
I met, high school. We met on LiveJournal. We met in real life, but then we were friends on LiveJournal. Like, I think we were friends on LiveJournal before we met in real life. And I met him when I came down to LA for an open house to see if I wanted to go to UCLA.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, LiveJournal. We were both photographers and like both did like LiveJournal stuff.
Photography. Listen, I feel like whenever I've heard so many different. Because, like, I think my first memory of you was that you were, like, organizing or a part of a dance performance.
Yeah,
You do dance, too?
Yeah.
And then my friend Gabby was like, oh, she used to be part of this, like, noise music scene.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay.
Yeah.
But then, like, you were, like, DJing, like, all, like, just, like, cool rap music and that type of stuff. And then you're doing artist books.
Yeah. I'm just a party girl.
You just are, yeah.
I'm just party girl.
A party girl.
Yeah.
That's like the through line between all that material. No,
not at all. I like barely leave my house. Yeah, I just like I mean that was the thing was getting divorced. It was really awful, but then like after that happened, I was just so kind of like because that relationship was like really like a big part of my life,
Yeah.
Like
5 years is huge.
Yeah, and and I was really like but it kind of made me realize, it was kind of like for the best, obviously that it ended, and then I like had all this kind of energy because it was like kind of so awful, and it was either like, well, I'm either gonna get really depressed and like move back to my parents' house and be really depressed, or I'm gonna like try to like do a bunch of stuff, and so then I tried to do a bunch of stuff.
And you saw it coming or no?
No idea. I didn't know. My friends told me. I had good friends who were like, we've heard rumors and stuff. I didn't believe them. I thought they were just like gossiping.
So it wasn't just even like a one-time little.
No, they're still together.
Wow.
Yeah, they live together.
But not married.
No, they're not married.
And wait, how old were you again when you got married?
Really young. I was. Well, he was older. He was like 4 years older than, but I was 23.
Yeah, but that's not too crazy older, but that is crazy young to get married.
Yeah, I was really young. I just really, like, it was kind of like really romantic and maybe a little stupid, but it was, we've been together for a long time.
You've been together for 5 years.
Yeah.
That's longer than I've ever made it, let's be honest.
Yeah, it was a long time.
So I can understand why you would.
Yeah, and I was also still kind of young. I was still like in my early 20s and just kind of like had this idea of like that's what I was gonna do, and like that just it made sense for several, like there's other reasons, getting married just like makes a lot of things easier when you like are together that long and like your lives are pretty enmeshed,
And the parents on board for the 23-year-old marriage?
My parents, like, that's one of the things that's really interesting is, like, because they're so, I don't know if it's Berkeley or what, but they don't really give their opinion on anything I do. Like, well, now they've started to since that happened.
Do you think that's a white people thing almost?
I think so. I don't know. I have no idea.
I have been talking about this a lot lately, but because my boyfriend is Guatemalan and like his family and like friends, they will say things to each other's faces that I would never have the ambition to say to a friend.
Yeah.
Like, I would think I would be, like, hurting their feelings so greatly.
Yeah.
Or express, like, you didn't come to my thing. You didn't come to my party. Why didn't you come to my party, you know? But it's like, you have those anxieties and angers anyway. So,
but you don't say it.
But you don't say them. There's, like, pros and cons to both.
No, that's very, like... I mean, it's interesting. Okay, so my dad's family is from the Midwest, and they're kind of upper class and, like, Midwestern, like, waspy.
What,
or, like...
Midwestern state are we talking?
Indiana. But, like, a lot of them live in Chicago.
Okay.
I mean, a lot of them live all over. Like, all my cousins, you know, it's like... But my dad's from Indianapolis.
Mm-hmm.
And then, my mom was, like, born in a trailer in Central Florida. You know? So it's, like, this real different class thing. And, like, my dad's family is so much more cold. They kind of gossip about each other.
Oh, yeah.
But they don't say it to their faces. Whereas, like, my mom's family will get in arguments and, like, be a little more, you know... I mean, I would say real. You know what I mean?
I would. Sure. You can absolutely.
Yeah.
I think, too, like, I had a boyfriend once. We went home to his house for Christmas, and he was from, like, the South, like, all of that type of stuff, and we were really worried, like, he had been getting in fights with his mom on the phone, where his mom would, like, cry and be like, I feel like you're making me choose between my mother and my son. Because he was like, I'm not coming home unless you tell grandma that I'm gay. Or something like this.
Whoa.
So we were like really paranoid. I was really nervous going over there. And his family
that's wild.
was so nice to me. His grandma got me like a blanket, like $20 in a box, I remember. Like all these Christmas, because they were like a family that went really crazy for Christmas, basically.
Yeah.
So they were like doing all this stuff. And then we went to my family's house, which like is like upper East Coast, New Jersey, but still sort of like upper middle class, I would say, not like country at all. And everyone was really nice, but I would say if I had to like rate the two families in terms of like really niceness, I would rank his just a little bit higher.
That's like my dad and my mom's family. Like my mom's family, it's like I'm like, oh dude, they like I feel like they love me. They may give me a lot of shit, you know, but I'm like, they really like care about me, you know. Whereas my dad's family, I feel like they care, but it's like a little more distant.
I also think people with a little more money have a tendency to care a little more about what people think.
Yeah.
Do you think that's possibly true?
Well, I think everyone cares about what people think, but I think maybe they have more resources to like, you know, I don't know.
I guess, or maybe just, I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah.
So your family not even really tell you whether they were into the wedding?
You know, I can't. Well, I mean, no one was like objecting. It wasn't like that. It was a little like, you know. No, it was a great wedding. The wedding was.
Was it a big one or like a little cutie?
It was a big one. It was. I mean, it was like 125 people.
Yeah.
But it was like we had my friend DJ'd and like he played the best music. He played he was an excellent like wedding DJ. Just like went from like he played, I don't know, he just played like everything that like, you know, all the generations would like.
Right.
You know, like really well, and like everyone danced and got really wasted, and like all my friends from LA came up and they were there with like my family, and it was just like it's like you don't get to see those things together often, and it was just like a really great night, you know. It was wonderful.
I really enjoy weddings. A lot of people and a lot of gay people that are like really progressive or whatever really like to hate on just the whole institution of marriage, basically.
Oh, sure.
And I can hate on the institution of it, definitely, but I enjoy a wedding. I definitely do.
I mean, yeah, it's just a contract. It's not, but it's just a good party. Because it's like people, you know, it's like people who even care. It's just like an excuse to like be really like, I care about you and your future in this like socially acceptable way. Like it's like, you know, and that's like a really good feeling.
It is. Yeah. It's great. And so, okay.
Yeah.
So your friends are telling you your husband's cheating on you with your best friend or your close friend?
No, just not even a close friend. Just this girl that I knew who was dating my friend. Like he was like so she was like a couple. Like we were like two couples, and we'd gone on like. We lived in Olympia.
Double dates.
Yeah, double dates
and
like all this stuff. Yeah. it was really wild, and it really like shook our whole friends group. Obviously, like it was just
yeah,
really,
I can't even imagine.
It was so unbelievable that it was,
And so
happening.
so how do you confront him? And you're not even totally sure at this point.
Oh yeah, so okay, so it was like Christmas Eve or something.
Oh no,
And I
now
was
that is
yeah,
really bad.
Yeah, and I was in a bar, and my friends took me to a bar in San Francisco.
Okay.
And on 24th Street, and they like sat me down and like and like got me a shot of whiskey, and we're like, we think that we've heard these rumors from people who are up in Seattle, which is where she was, and then and they were like, you should call your ex, and I was like, okay. I mean, I was like, I think you guys are like
your ex now, but your husband then.
Then yeah. But we had separated at that point. We were already separated.
Oh,
so I didn't know about it. But we had separated because things had gotten so weird between us. Like it was like things were really bad, and so I was like, we were separated.
Okay, so
but I didn't know why he was being so weird.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
And so you separate. He moves up to Seattle.
No, okay. Let me backtrack. We had lived in. He went to Evergreen.
Okay.
So we were up there, living there for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I went to Evergreen too, and we went there.
That's a college?
Yeah, in Olympia. And we were living up there, and we had this whole friends group who lived in Seattle and Olympia, and like we'd hang out, and like they would come down to Olympia when there was like a cute like summer fair in Olympia. We'd go on double dates with these like a bunch of friends couples, including this couple that included this girl.
Yeah.
And whatever, like early 20s cute stuff. And then we moved back to California and got married, and then we moved back to LA. And then this came out, and it was like, I just called him. Like, I called him right outside the bar and was like, hey, they just told me this. Like, is this true?
Okay.
And he was like, well, like, I have like we've had feelings for each other, but like nothing's happened. And I was like, what does that mean? Like, I'd never heard about this before. You know what I mean?
And
like,
he's just straight up lying to you right
now.
Oh,
yeah. No, because I found out later. I'm fortunate I never found their emails, but her boyfriend, this is how this all came out, was he opened her computer one day. They lived together in Seattle, and found like 2 times. Like, he found like her messaging with someone on Twitter, like DMing about it, and then found all these emails between them.
Okay.
And then like that's how it got back to me, was from people in Seattle hearing about that.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So
you're talking to him on the phone.
Yeah,
He's saying, I have a crush on her or something like this.
Yeah, just like making like I don't even remember, but I was just kind of like, okay, whatever. Like, and I didn't really. It was just like I couldn't believe, because I mean, just imagine this is your husband, and even though you're separated, like you still like are on good. You have a dog together, so you're sharing the dog.
Oh, yeah.
And like you're like you've known each other. I've known him. I was 17 when I met him.
Wow. Okay.
So like I've known him just my whole 18 to 24. And really trust him. And then time goes on, and like we're still separated and stuff. And then like I don't really I can't quite comprehend it, because breaking up after being together for 6 years is hard enough. And then I find out from somebody that she's moving down to LA, and they're moving in together. And that's when I was like, okay, everything I had heard as like a room, whatever. He's just like not telling me the truth.
Okay.
And like and then I finally talked to her ex about it, and we had like a 3-hour conversation on the phone about it. It was really wild, and I got all the details, or not all of them, but
And so you never really had how much of a conversation did you ever really have
with
him about it?
I tried to say, well, this was the thing, was we were sharing the dog.
Oh my god.
I was sharing the dog, and then I started I was so depressed, like I could barely, you couldn't
get out of bed.
No, yeah, and whenever I saw the dog, I would just like be just a fucking mess. And of course, like it had to be like I had to go pick him up from like their apartment. I was like, this is never gonna happen. Like I can, I'm insane, I can't go to their apartment, like being confronted with that, like without like someone wheeling me in, and so I emailed him. John actually gave me a lot of advice about this, and was like,
John Weiss.
Yeah, John Weiss, and he was like, you should, you guys should just talk, like you guys should, he deserves to, you guys have all this history, you guys deserve to just know the truth with each other so you can kind of
Okay.
just be on the same page. Because, like, that's where all your, kind of like all my fear was coming from just the unknown. Or just, you know what I mean? Just kind of being like, what the fuck? So I emailed him and was like, hey, I don't think I can, like, really, take care of the dog or really share the dog with you unless we, like...
Have a conversation.
And then... Oh, no, I'm mixing things up, because this is like over a 3-year period. But what happened was I kind of stopped seeing the dog, stopped seeing him, was just trying not to think about it. And then he emailed me and let me know the dog had cancer. And that's when I was like, oh shit. And then I was like, hey, we should need to meet and talk before I can, like, get involved with this whole the dog has cancer thing.
Yeah.
Because, like, I can't face this without, like, kind of us being, like, on the same, like, you, kind of like you owe me this conversation. Like, at least, everything that's happened, I've let it go. Like, I didn't make a big deal about anything. Like, I let him.
And so you have basically not talked to him since finding out he cheated on you for how long?
I mean, I don't know because I don't know. It's like I heard from different people
But when you call him on the phone at the bar till this, we need to have this dog conversation. How long?
That was December 2012, and then the dog conversation was like August.
Wow. Okay.
2014.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, 2 years.
Yeah, 2 years.
And are you completely like? Don't you have to do like divorce proceedings?
Oh yeah, we did divorce proceedings. Yeah, I did our divorce. Like I wrote the document because I'm a paralegal. So.
Okay.
So it wasn't a complicated divorce at all because we didn't have
ton of
much.
stuff.
No, yeah, we didn't have much community property, so it wasn't hard. But like, it was
Oh my god.
Yeah, it was a mess.
And it's not even talking. He just can't even give you the time for that.
No, he can't. And then the dog dies. And then,
God.
yeah, I'm laughing at because it's so terrible.
It's so intense.
It's just so intense and terrible. And we still haven't talked about it. They're living together, and he doesn't even tell me the dog dies. My friend sees it on like his Instagram and tells me. And then the girl that he's living with posts about it. Everyone's leaving her these comments. You were such a good mom to the dog. And I was like, oh my, like I raised this dog from a puppy. Like, you know what I mean? Just to not even tell me. Or not even like, like, I mean, he wrote me all these emails, like, making excuses for why he couldn't talk to me and stuff, and, I mean, whatever.
Part of it is, like, him not even really wanting to maybe recognize what he's done.
Well, and I don't have any leverage at that point, I didn't have, the divorce was over, I let him keep the car, like, I was really, like, I could have, like, been a lot more angry, but I'm just uncomfortable with like getting really angry, or like I did get really angry at him. I wrote him angry emails for sure, but like
sure.
Like I didn't like take it out in like make it hard for the divorce to happen or something.
Okay.
Because he wouldn't talk to me.
So how are you doing between like outside the bar and when the dog dies? Like what are those 2 years?
Those 2 years were wild because I just I got so much, like I started Hesse Press, I started doing dance performances, like IRL, because I always danced and stuff, but then I just kind of like started doing these weird like sound art, like, or sound performances,
okay.
I started making videos, like, and posting them online of me doing like movement stuff.
Okay.
And it was kind of like therapy, it was kind of like self-therapy of just like dealing with, just like having all this like what? Like what is life? What are humans? Like what are feelings? Like,
and it's all sort of interpreted, like it's all like.
It was just to deal with. I mean, I wasn't like being like this is about my divorce.
Right.
It was like, but it was just like I just like had to
keep the ball rolling. Is what you did.
That's
what you did.
Yeah, I just had to like do something because it was just. It felt like it felt like one of those things where it's just like something. Hard happens and then it just gets harder and harder, and because it's like, the dog gets cancer, the dog dies, like he won't talk to me, I don't know the truth, like it's just like, just kind of like a nightmare,
It sounds just unbelievable.
It was pretty fucking crazy, yeah.
So just basically like, and it was a 8-year relationship.
Well, let's see, we started dating in 2006 and then we split up in 2012, so it was a 6-year relationship.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're doing the dance on YouTube. You start
I did, yeah.
And you had had you done dance before that? Did you go to?
And my grandmother was the head of a ballet academy and made me watch a lot of dance, but I didn't like, and I tried to take dance when I was younger, but I hated people telling me what to do.
Wow,
Like I'm just
okay.
a brat. Like I'm just was kind of a brat and like didn't like the ballet stuff. And so then I always danced. This is actually funny. My best friend, or like my only friend for a while in elementary school, was this guy Daniel Moreno, and he's whose house I would go to play video games. And he was this very like just like gay from birth kid, like, you know, who's like very like, you know, like he would like spray his hair and like curl it every day, and like, just like was very like teased in school.
Oh sure.
And then I was very teased in school because I was really chubby and just like read during recess, so we were like
right.
friends,
Reading
you know?
during recess is atypical.
Yeah. And so me and him, I would go to his house and his mom let him play video games.
Okay.
And so we would play video games, and then we would also dance. We would listen to the radio and make tapes from the radio, and then dance to do these like choreographed routines we would make together of like aqua and like.
Oh my gosh, so beautiful.
Yeah, and he would give me critiques.
He would give you critiques
As like an 8-year-old. Like,
wow.
This is before American Idol, and like I think back on it, and it's really funny. Because like now he sings in the New York Gay Men's Chorus.
Right, okay.
Like he sings at the Stonewall Inn.
Right.
Like he's the most like, you know what I mean? Like mainstream like
gay
of all
gay.
Yeah, of all time. Like he's really cool.
And it's funny because I feel like some gay people, we have that like experience of like you're a little kid, you are a boy but like girly things.
Yeah.
Everyone is paranoid that you're gay and you seem really gay and then you're gay. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
But then like other people
Are
like
they not?
don't have that experience.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
they totally just are gay.
But they have a different gender, like,
But they
expression.
just right. They don't have that side of it. But it's like so funny that you see it in people and you just know that they are and then they are, and it's just like it's like that. It's exactly what you're describing. It's the traditional way of becoming a gay person.
Yeah, and it's funny because his mom's really cool, and she started or helped start an organization like to try to like promote, because he's Hispanic, so like to promote like coming out and being proud of like Hispanic communities.
Yeah, very important.
Yeah, and they're really cool, and so she's written for like Huffington Post about her experience of being like his mom and being like nervous about what people thought and stuff, because he was like so, you know, he wore dresses, like wanted to wear dresses and like really liked like unicorns and like, you know what I mean? He was just very like
he was really doing it.
Yeah, he was really this, and like he's really cool, and his mom's written about it a lot. It's really interesting. Like it's. But anyway,
so
he's
like letting you play video games. What video games are we talking about?
We'd play. Well, my favorite was Mario Kart. I was just obsessed with Mario Kart. He played Pokemon a lot. He played. But the only games I could play was like Mario Kart and the one. What's the one where you Super Smash Brothers?
Yeah.
And is it the one where you fight Mortal Kombat?
Mortal Kombat is definitely one.
Yeah, that we played with Sega Genesis stuff.
And he's giving you critiques.
Oh my god, the critiques, because this is what I'm saying. It's like I realized like in middle school, kind of when American Idol started getting popular, I was like, Daniel was really like ahead of the curve, because like he would give me these critiques like they give, you know, like on reality shows now, like you know, where he'd be like, I just remember this one time we'd been dancing, and then I realized he was watching me, and then he was like, okay, like you're a really good dancer, but you need to smile more. Like, and just like an 8-year-old saying that to you, like so.
It's so gay too.
Like, yeah, you must smile.
Oh my gosh. So, but then you're doing this when you're a little kid. But why choose dance? All this years later for this time, you don't even know. You're just compelled.
I mean, I took adult ballet in college, and I took dance in college.
Oh,
I always did it as a hobby. Like it's like something I'm good at. Like, you know what I mean? It's like people who sing karaoke and they're good at it. And then I was just like, I should just try to do, because like avant-garde movement is like whatever you want. You know what I mean? It's like noise or like sound art, where it's just kind of like experimenting with like body, like with emotion in the body, you know? Or with like systems in the body. So I just started like doing that, and it was almost like I really had to. And then I met Maria Garcia, who co-runs Mata, and she's she's my same age, and she does like sound art stuff but with movement, and we just really clicked and hit it off, and then we started rehearsing every week together.
Yes, people who are in music and sound go pretty well with people in dance, would you say?
Yeah, because I've been in like music, like fun music. Oh my god, I auditioned for, I got asked to audition for the Happy music video.
For Pharrell.
Yeah, for Pharrell, and I did not make it because I wasn't happy.
You didn't smile like your little friend said. He was telling you to smile more while you're dancing, and you didn't listen. Well, it's okay because that song might have like ruined music.
I know. I hate that song. Like I heard it, but the thing was, in the audition we had to lip sync it. So So I heard it for the first time. But the thing is, when you hear it for the first time, you're like, oh, this like you had never heard it before. You're in a vacuum. You never heard it before. This was before it was on the radio. This was like when they sent it to you as a private link.
Yeah.
And you were like, oh, this song's like Kids and Despicable. Like this is like a cute kid song.
Cute.
And like you can sing it. You know what I mean? And I was like 24, and I was like, yeah, you know. And then like after I auditioned for it, didn't get it. It was kind of sad. And then like started hearing on the radio, and I was like, wow, I hate this song. I'm so glad I didn't make it.
I mean, I think when we have proximity to things, like if someone had told me, hey, you could be in the next Pharrell video, I would like, just totally do it. I mean, honestly, that's why I'm a little glad I never like really went there or made it in music, especially punk music was what I was doing, because I think I probably just would have sold out as soon as possible, and then everyone would have hated me.
Yeah.
And so I couldn't even go that route. So you get involved with dance, but you also do artist books.
Yeah. So I've been friends with John Weiss for a long time, and he's he's a graphic designer, but he designs books, and he designs really beautiful books. And I had a relative die. They gave me this little chunk of money, and I was like, okay, with this chunk of money, I can either A, go to graduate school for like art or something or whatever I do, you know, or I could like do something else with it. And then I was talking to John. John's like I was talking to John and Callie DeWitt about it, and kind of getting their advice and stuff. Yeah. Because those are like two guys who I'm like.
And two guys who have kind of, I feel, like made it in the art scene without. Callie like never went to art school or did any of that.
No. And John went to school for graphic design.
Right. Exactly.
You know, so neither of them like. Yeah, so like, and they've just put out their own stuff forever and kind of know what people need. And so then we were like, and John was like, well, we could do books. And we started, and I love books, and I was really into it. And we just went through this like 3-month period of like brainstorming about it, and then kind of came out with this idea of having artist books that would come out kind of two together. And it would be kind of the same template, so it would be really easy for us to just kind of ask people to do stuff. Yeah. Wouldn't be like reimagining it every time, it would be kind of the same and consistent. But because we wouldn't have to spend so much time redesigning and refiguring things out, we could kind of put those resources into printing it really nicely. Yeah. So they've printed really nice. They're offset print, which is like the kind of the highest quality you could do. And then same length of pages, and just kind of doing only LA artists, because we were like, there's so many great people
that's also
here.
Probably
there's so many great people here, and there's so much like stuff going on, and it's just kind of to have it more accessible to like access people's little worlds, you know. So that was the idea for the press.
All right, I'm gonna put a challenge to you.
Okay.
I want you to describe a couple of those books while I run and go pee, because I have to pee so bad from reading that team. So talk about Katie and Sarah's books and some of those books.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so last year we put out 2 books by one artist is Sarah Rara, and she's in this really great music and visual group with her husband called Lucky Dragons, and she's really magical, and she has this really beautiful book of like large format kind of color study Polaroids that she did of flowers, and then wrote poetry to accompany them. And it's called Earth Breakup, and it's kind of about environmentalism and nature, and I don't know. It's a great book. It's really beautiful. And then Kate's book is all these drawings that she did. Oh, John's back.
I'm back.
Okay, good, because I was like, I don't know how well I'm doing.
I'm sure you're doing great.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, but Kate's book's really cool because you can like, she made it so that you can cut it up and make a larger print out of the pages. Yeah,
I have a copy of it. I have not done that.
I know, it's kind of hard to. We did that with a couple, but it's hard.
It's hard to bring yourself to do that to those objects, I think.
Yeah.
I have a hard time with that.
She was kind of into that too, because it's like, you know, like, do you destroy the beautiful object or do you not?
Right. And that's and what are some of the ones you've got coming up right now?
Yeah, next week I think I'll have them if everything goes well. One is by Zoe Crocher, who's a photographer based in LA, and she did this project called LA Like Transgressing the Pacific, and she took photos all over kind of these different locations in the Pacific Ocean in LA where people, either fictional or real people, disappeared. So like where Natalie Wood drowned.
Wow. Okay.
Like where I guess like Dennis Wilson in Venice Canal, he like jumped into, like disappeared there or something. Like all these different, and then like somebody from a Raymond Chandler novel disappears. Like so she did some of them are not
real people.
And so kind of this idea of like, but then she's a conceptual photographer. Like she's more like, she's kind of into that kind of stuff. So there's the book actually has 6 essays and some excerpts from a book by Eve Babbitt's, and they're kind of all about like the edge of the Pacific and the kind of the end of what does that mean? And I don't know. They're great essays. They're really it's a good. I'm really proud of it because it's like just so much writing.
It sounds like really more literary than some of the other stuff you've done.
No, because the series of the photos, there's only like I think there's like 6 photos, so it's like we had to fill it in with other stuff, but it was really fun to kind of get more into copy editing and stuff. And then the other book is this guy GX Jupiter Larson. Who's like,
cool name.
Yeah, he's really cool. I mean, he's
was your friend from Berkeley? His name was Jupiter, just like your friends from Berkeley.
Oh yeah, the Ganymede of the universe.
What a crazy
world.
Line through with
that.
Yeah.
Well, these chairs are cool.
I know this. The thing about this game too is there's these very cinematic scenes. What's going on here? We're in a ghost train, by the way.
Oh, I love a ghost train.
We're in a ghost train in a weird forest. So now
they serve you though.
And the ghosts have just served us food.
Yeah.
Okay, this guy is perfectly comfortable at eating ghost food. But our new friend from the genocide town is not. It's funny, this character is supposed to be like a samurai, but I think in the English dub, they made him into like a knight.
Yeah.
So he says like wilt and thou and that type of stuff.
Oldie English.
Oh, that is good. Okay, it was not a mistake to eat the food. That's good. These ghosts are cute. It's funny, like, also like these sort of like little like dramatic scenes had not really been, like RPGs had existed, but like Final Fantasy was kind of the pioneer of having like all this different. I don't want to eat anymore. What are we supposed to do? I ate the food. Now I want to leave. Maybe I can go out here. Let's find out. I can. Okay, great. The train is cool. We've got some ghost monsters going here. Did you ever read, this is something I'm always interested in, were you ever into comics at all as a kid? Comic books?
No. I was into fantasy books, but it wasn't into comic
What
books.
were some of those that you were into?
I mean, I really loved The Mist of Avalon as a kid.
I have yet to read that, but I had a science fiction teacher who was really not maybe so into fantasy recommended, because it's like King Arthur from like the female character's perspective, essentially.
Yeah, it's very like, I read it, I haven't read it since I was, a kid, but
so
I loved it. But it was like also like 800 pages long, so as a child you just feel like you're reading something that like explains the entire universe.
And you feel so cool for having accomplished that.
Yeah, and you feel so cool whenever you're reading it.
And what are they like sort of positing in The Mist of Avalon? What's the Lady of the Lake really doing? What's Guinevere really doing?
I can't remember, but it's all very like feminist conspiracy theory kind of stuff.
Oh, like behind the scenes, these women were really the ones running the show.
Or like that they were misrepresented because of a power play. So
right, like maybe Morgana is more sympathetic in some way.
Yeah, definitely. I think that was a big part of it. I mean, this is like me remembering it from a million years ago, but yeah, that's kind of my...
Being a girl who like fucks her brother or whatever.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man, I always wonder if she's kind of like... do you watch Game of Thrones?
Oh, yeah.
Like Cersei? Like, I wonder if she's like such an influence on the kind of the development of that character. character.
Yes. Also, the name Cersei is like the Greek witch who turns men into pigs.
Yeah. Man, Cersei's like, dude, that like the last season was really rough with the Bell of Shame and all that.
Oh, the Shame Nun was killer.
She was amazing. She looked like out of like one of those like those movies, like those like pulpy 60s movies about like lesbian nuns or something. Like she was really intense.
She was great.
Yeah.
I've seen her cosplayed and it just killed me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it was like, and it's so funny though because I was thinking about it, and it was it was this like older lady was doing the Shame Nun, and I was like thinking about it. I was like, geez, who else is an older woman gonna cosplay as besides the Shame Nun? You know, like. There's so many. There's so few like older female characters in the convention sort of world.
Yeah.
But also
that's an awesome one.
The Shame Nun is good. Also, I saw an old lady once cosplay with her husband as Olive Oil and Popeye.
Oh my god.
That was cute.
That's really cute.
But yeah, the Shame Nun cracked me up. Yeah, that was a brutal season.
Yeah.
But they're always that's what they do on that show. I mean, I sort of feel like there's no one really like everyone's awful now.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the brilliance of it in a way.
Yeah.
Cuz so much fantasy revolves around like medieval times and like makes medieval times seem really like sort of like beautiful and magical and cool.
Yeah.
And like the reality is it was like kind of a horrible time in human history, you know?
Yeah.
And so it sort of, I think Game of Thrones is kind of deconstructive in that way.
Yeah.
Of like being like, no, it was because obviously it's fantasy, but like that sort of fantasy, it's that Western, European medieval trope of fantasy that's so dominating. I mean, I think about sometimes how like, this is a Japanese game, but like so many of the characters have blonde hair. Or
was that done for the like a non-Japanese audience?
No, the Japanese release, all these characters look the same. I mean,
oh really?
We're looking at a very Japanese group of characters from this game right now because of course we've got the ninja guy and the samurai and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But for the most part,
it was influenced by like kind of Middle Ages.
I think I would go more European, if anything, on
the kind of influence of what influenced Final Fantasy.
But it's hard to say too because like then there's people with like green hair and you're like and it's like a fantasy world, so like race gets really complicated and like different,
Yeah.
In that realm. Though it wasn't not until Final Fantasy VII that there had been which is the sequel to this, that there was ever any black people.
Yeah.
There was no black people. There certainly was. It was
all white or
It was all like white or Asian or
mythological
or half
non-human
magical creature. I think that kind of but I wonder how much that's colored by this idea of like fantasy is a genre for Eurocentric stuff. Like I read a book last year called Throne of the Crescent Moon, and it's a fantasy novel, a wonderful fantasy novel, but it's all using Middle Eastern like fantasy tropes, I guess, or mythology. And it was very refreshing to read that. And I know Marlon James right now is trying to write like basically like the Black Game of Thrones.
Oh, that's cool.
After having written like more traditional fiction.
Yeah, because like there's such a need or such like a gap like that needs to be filled for that so badly, because it's like that doesn't so much content exists and then that doesn't. It's so such a loss.
It is. And also I think too because there was this article that came out yesterday because they just bought The Birth of the Nation for $17 million, and it was this huge purchase of an independent film by Fox, and it's probably and how the film is so amazing, but also that like so many portrayals of black culture are around like slavery or suffering. Like, how about we just have like a movie that's set in like Africa or like using African mythology, and it is not about like people in horrible pain being like, we can have that too, and like but you know, just like a more diverse like type of movie for a black audience.
Well,
you know
it's
what I
just
mean?
like we're so stuck, you know. I mean, I don't know. That's all I think of is just a reflection of where, like, you know, the white people who are approving this kind of stuff, or you know what I mean? Like getting it made. It's like, I don't know. Or there's just a need to educate because people don't then know about our.
Sure.
But yeah, I hear what you're saying.
There is that. There is that need. There is that educational need still.
Yeah. Because the Nat Turner story is amazing.
No. I could be. I'm sure it.
I hope it's awesome.
I hope it's an awesome movie. I watched Selma recently, and that was really.
Oh, I saw that in theaters. Yeah, that was an amazing movie.
I was pretty into that.
I liked it a lot. I was really blown away. I mean, I was really yeah, I saw it by myself, and it was like, and I couldn't even get up afterwards. It was so intense.
Yeah.
It was such an intense movie.
Yeah, and I really love biopics or movies like that that really just try to focus in on like one specific moment in history, then try to be like, this is the story of this person's life, you know?
Yeah. Those movies like that can get so. I mean, I just think it's really hard to do that well.
And also, so many biopics, or however I don't even know how you pronounce it, are just like.
I say biopics, but it could be like, how do you say GIF? I say GIF.
Some people say GIF, some people say GIF.
Yeah.
Some of them are just so formulaic, you know?
Yeah.
It's like they live and then they die.
Yeah.
And there's like some stuff that happens in between, and that's like the whole
story
movie.
of everyone's life.
Yeah, I mean, it's the story of everyone's life. Or like, but like, I really like the Bob Dylan one because it was like so weird and like non-linear, and like 10 different people play Bob Dylan. And
yeah, that was creative. Yeah, that was weird.
Well, Claire, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah. Thanks for letting me. It was like a therapy session. Thanks for letting me bitch.
Thanks for bitching. I'm trying to figure out how to go a little like deeper with people, but you also don't, unless they're a gay man, they don't necessarily want to put all their business out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some people are more comfortable with that than others, and it's sort of hard to gauge sometimes.
Yeah. Well, different people have different comfort levels.
And then I feel like if I'm talking to someone before they come on, and I'm like, do you want to really go there? They're gonna be like super intimidated.
Yeah.
I don't really even know how to have that conversation yet, but.
Yeah.
But it was cool. Thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, this has been another episode of Let's Gay, and stay tuned. We are putting up new episodes twice a week.